Hey guys, today I think I'm going to show you how Detroit diesel works. Now a lot of people wonder how they work because they're a two-stroke diesel engine, and that just confuses some people. And so I have here, for representational purposes, a steel soup can, and it's, as you can see, it's got some holes bored right there on the side and the bottom, and it's got another hole up there. Now that hole represents your exhaust valve. There's going to be a valve to cover and open that, and then those represent the intake ports. Now what happens is under normal operation, there's going to be a piston inside this cylinder that's going to rise up and down in there because it'll be connected to a crankshaft that'll make it run up and down and up and down. And so what happens is the piston will start at the bottom, and it'll be underneath those, the top of it will be underneath those intake ports there. There's going to be a blower that'll blow air into there, and this valve up here will also be open, and it'll flush out that cylinder and fill it full of fresh air. Then the piston's going to come up and cover over those ports, and this valve up here is going to close off, and so now there's going to be compression building up inside of there. And then once it gets somewhere near the top, there's going to be an injector that's going to squirt fuel into the cylinder, and being that it's under such high pressure, that fuel is going to explode and force the piston back down again. And then once it gets to about there, it'll be the exhaust valve will open, and the exhaust gases will start flowing out of there, and the intake ports will then be uncovered, and the blower will send more fresh air in there and flush it out again and fill it full of more fresh air. And I'll just keep repeating over and over and over again. Just intake, gonna push fresh air into there, flush out the burnt gases, and it's gonna come up, compress that air really tight, and then the fuel's gonna squirt in, and it's gonna have an explosion, come down, and it's gonna flush it out again. So it flushes out, compresses, explodes, comes down, flushes out again. Pretty simple. And so that's just a soup can demonstration for that. And I'll show you an actual Detroit diesel so you can see the parts of it. This here is an 8V71N Detroit, and came out of a bus, and a city bus, and you can see here, this is the blower, and that's what sends air down in there. Air will go in right here and down through there into the blower. Blower's going to force it down into the cylinders, and cylinders, just like my soup can, are going to have holes in the sides of them that the air is going to go in once the piston drops down below them. And then under this valve cover here, and I would take it off, but I don't have the tools, and so there's going to be the fuel injector, one about there, 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 and there, and that's going to send the fuel in. And there's the exhaust manifold down there that leads back down under there and out the other side. Then the fuel goes in from this line, comes from the fuel tank into the fuel filters there, goes there up into the governor. Now this governor assembly, it will change the speed of the engine, that's your throttle control, and also prevent it from overspeeding and blowing up. So then moving to the front of the motor here, then there's the water pump, and then also down here is a what would be the replacement for a clutch fan setup. On the bus motor, the fan would just bolt right here, and the radiator be back here, and that's just lets the fan spin faster and slower. And then the muffler would be over here. It's your other exhaust manifold, and then the exhaust comes up from under there, and it'll go out the back of the bus. Now some people were wondering what this box here is for, and why the air doesn't just go straight in there. And that's because if you look up in there, there's a little flap in there, and what happens is if this engine did overspeed for some reason, this little tab here would close that flap, and then that would prevent air from going in the engine and make it shut down, and then it can be repaired. And it's got a big ugly Allison transmission on the back there. That's special for the bus motors. But all Detroit diesels are going to have the blower here, and they're going to have one or more cylinder heads, and always have a water pump, and always have the valve covers there to cover everything up. And that's pretty much it for this motor. And as far as the fact that they call it an 8V71, the reason for that is an 8V71 means an 8-cylinder in a V configuration with 71 cubic inches per cylinder. So that's going to be like you have your soup can here, and that, okay, there would be similar to that inside the motor. There'd be 8 of them, and they would all have the amount of cubic inches inside of them be 71 cubic inches. Then also, they're in a V configuration, meaning that if you look at the front of this motor, it's kind of hard to tell, but the cylinders, there's going to be a bank of cylinders going this way and a bank of cylinders going this way, and that's why they call it a V. So there's 4 cylinders on each side. And so we have another one over here that would be a I'll show it to you. It's a 353 Detroit, and that means that it's an inline 3-cylinder in 53 cubic inches per cylinder. And you can see, just like the other, it's got the governor up here and the starter motor down there, and it's missing the exhaust manifold. That rusted and broke off. And then on the other side, you can see there's a blower just like the other one, a lot smaller, and again, a fuel filter down there. Everything's all the same, just different, a little bit smaller. Now also, this would be a 353N, and what the N represents is non-turbocharged. Now just like the 871 over there, it's a non-turbocharged engine, so that means it's considered naturally aspirated. Even though these have blowers on them, they're still considered naturally aspirated. Now we do have one at the shop, which is not here, but it's an 6V92 TA. And what the TA stands for is turbocharged and aftercooled. So it looks pretty similar to this 8V71, except right here where this would be, there's a turbo there. And so that would take the exhaust, I don't have a turbo to show it to you, but it would take the exhaust gases and spin it through the turbine wheel and spin a shaft that would also spin another turbine wheel to force air down through this blower. And so that would really add the power by putting more air into the engine. And then also down underneath the blower, there would be a little radiator in there that would take the water from the coolant system and run it through there, and it would cool that air. And the cooler it is, the denser it is. So when it's more dense, it will add more power as well. So that's how the Detroit diesels work. You'll see all kind of different series. The 92 obviously would stand for 92 cubic inches per cylinder, and 53 cubic inches per cylinder. Now they also made a 51 and 110 and a 149, and those all came in different configurations as far as cylinders. So that's pretty much how they work, and if there's any questions, leave a comment and I'll try to answer it. Thanks.